All right, breaking news. Dallas Cowboys have won 5 straight, but making it 6 in a row is going to be more difficult. Sunday Night Football, the 5-1 Cowboys in Minnesota to take on the 3-3 Vikes. And Dak Prescott inactive. That's right. Despite the fact Dallas had a bye week last week, 13 days not enough. Calf strain. Number 4, who obviously missed most of last season with a very different injury, out now. Calf strain, will not play for the Cowboys as they take on the Vikings in Minnesota. Hey, welcome in. Right here on HQ. And this season, Crown Royal is supporting the local communities that service off the field at kickoffwithcrown.com. Thanks for being in. I'm Eric Casillas. Ryan Wilson, our NFL and NFL draft expert, and CBS Sports senior NFL writer Jonathan Jones. JJ, I'll start with you. Are you surprised? Can you translate this for me? I mean, they had a bye week. We didn't hear much about this during a game that they played, and suddenly he's out 13 days later?
Yeah, it happened right toward the end of the game, and so they went into the bye and said, well, this might not be too good, but at least there is the bye. And they worked him about middle of the week. They tried to get him to rest because when it's a calf strain, there's nothing really you can do except rest. Well, then when he got work, he felt fine immediately after, but then the next day he came back and said, yeah, I'm a little sore. That was the big red flag, that after your first day of work, you're sore. You never like that. And what you fear is that there's going to be a setback if you put him out there in a game that's going to be 60, 70, maybe even 80 offensive plays the way that this Dallas Cowboys offense operates. And so that was always the risk, that you could sit him for tonight and then hopefully he's back next week in week 9, or you play him and risk a setback that actually sets him back even more time. Again, they just had the bye. There's no more bye in front of them. And so I think that the Dallas Cowboys are doing the prudent thing. They're doing the thing that is best for their organization in hopes of getting back to the NFC title game for the first time in a quarter century, and they are resting Dak Prescott tonight officially.
You hear about Dak. Do you think this is a 1-week thing? Is this more safe than sorry, we'll see you next week? Or are you concerned that this could be something that lingers and a problem going on? I know you're not a doctor. You didn't stay at Holiday Inn last night, or we're going to say it. But if you're looking at this injury, your thoughts are what?
No, I think JJ's right in that it makes sense to not rush Dak back, because you play in a division that's, I think everyone would agree, is a pretty terrible division. You're the only team, the Dallas Cowboys, with a winning record. The Eagles won earlier today, so they're now at 3-5. Every other team just has 2 wins. So there's no reason for urgency here. You're not playing in the NFC West or the AFC West, and you have to understand that. Now, I do wonder if Jerry Jones wishes he had a more veteran quarterback behind Dak Prescott. We're going to see Cooper Rush play. Cooper Rush has all of 1 completion in his career in the NFL. That said, you look back to last year, Andy Dalton was a veteran backup, and that team was straight up terrible once Dak went down. So I suppose the good news is that you're not in a rush to bring Dak back, number 1. Number 2, your defense is immeasurably better than it was a year ago, and you can rely on that defense on some level, and you don't need Andy Dalton or Joe Flacco or whomever to come in and save the day, because that person doesn't exist. You get Dak healthy, you come back to fight again next week or even the week after, you will be okay in that division.
All right, so first point is Dak's out. Are you surprised? What does this mean? Next thing is, okay, now we're going to play a football game. In comes Cooper Rush. The line is going all the way down now, where Minnesota, who opened up as an underdog, is now a 4-point favorite. The over-under total has started at 55.5, 56, and that has plummeted all the way down to 49.5. Who is Cooper Rush? And what do you think about Dallas's chances to win the game with Cooper Rush,
So
JJ?
Cooper Rush is a Dallas Cowboys favorite, a Jason Garrett favorite. Remember, he followed Jason Garrett to the New York Giants for a time last year. He comes back, and again, in the preseason this year, he played pretty well. 21-33, 202 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in those 3 games. Really got the most against Houston, where he went 10 of 12 in that game with 2 touchdowns and 97 yards. But he is an unknown here in the NFL. And, you know, Ryan made a great point. You'd really love to have a veteran behind Dak Prescott. Well, you know, with the salary cap crunch that the Dallas Cowboys had, that all teams faced, with so much money going to their running back and their quarterback and their offensive line and their wide receivers, they just didn't have the money to go out there and pay a guy like they were able to pay Andy Dalton, for example, last year. So that's the issue for them, and that's why they are in this position. But they're going up against Minnesota Vikings defense that, when you look at the major categories for the Vikings, it's a pretty average run-of-the-mill defense. However, they are the best third down defense in the NFL. About 29% of third downs are being converted against that defense. Again, best in the NFL. I liked Dallas's chances with Dak Prescott even at 70% because he can move the chains. I think that Cooper Rush against a very good third down defense is going to really, really struggle no matter what he has going on around him. If you can't keep the chains moving and sustain drives, Kirk Cousins is playing at a very high level this year. He's playing really well against man coverage especially. We know the Cowboys like to play man. I think this is going to be a long, long game for the Dallas Cowboys without Dak.
Your thoughts about Dallas's chances tonight with Cooper Rush as opposed to Dak going on the road? And keep in mind, look, Minnesota is going to play with their hair on fire, and they have to be desperate. They are 3-3. There's a huge difference. I mean, every game in the NFL matters. There's a huge difference between saying, all right, we're 4-3 and an NFC versus 3-4, because the NFC's top heavy. You know, you get 7-1 Arizona. Green Bay has one loss. Dallas right now currently has one loss. You look at Tampa with one loss. Rams right now. I mean, like you're not going to be one of the elite seeds. You're trying to fight for one of those last two seeds if you're if your team has more than 1 or 2 losses. Minnesota's going to give you an A game, you would think. What do you think about Dallas's chances tonight?
Slim, none, fat, whichever chance, brother, you want to take. I think that's the one that's going to show up for the Dallas Cowboys there. I'll mention some names for you here, EK. Ben DiNucci started a game last year. Garrett Gilbert started another game last year once Andy Dalton and Dak Prescott were out. And I think that's what you're going to see from Cooper Rush. I think JJ's exactly right. If Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard don't get it going, if you can't get those quick passes off to your wide receivers and tight ends, it's going to be a long afternoon, evening for Cooper Rush. And I think you're exactly right about the Minnesota Vikings. Mike Zimmer's not saying, oh, we don't need this game. We're 3-3, but we're also probably the two most likely teams to sort of backdoor our way into this thing along with the Saints as wild cards, because there's not much competition behind those guys. You want to win this game. It builds confidence even if it's without Dak. You can move forward from here. They had a chance to beat the Cardinals earlier in the season. That went sideways for them. So I think you have to start stacking these wins as a 3-3 team in a division where you're not going to catch the Packers. And for the Cowboys, they just need a huge amount of luck and a lot of bad breaks from Kirk Cousins, which, as JJ noted, we are not going to see. He's playing really well this year.
All right. If you look at Minnesota right now, how do you play? I mean, the Minnesota defense has got to line up against Cooper Rush and Zeke and Tony Pollard and CeeDee Lamb and the rest of those weapons. We know this is not the same group that got embarrassed on Christmas night against the Saints last year and gave up 6 touchdowns to Alvin Kamara and looked like it was, flag football and they couldn't touch him. It's a different group. But they have been up and down. I mean, I know they have Patrick Peterson. They've added him, for example. But how good is the Minnesota D? And can they really take advantage and sort of slam the door on a backup quarterback that comes in that doesn't have a lot of experience playing in the NFL?
You got a 3-3 Vikings team, but a team that every single one of their games, win or lose, has been a one-possession ball game. They have not won or lost by more than 8 points all this season. When I look at the defense, yes, they added a couple of pieces, lost a couple of pieces. A guy that nobody talks about, Danielle Hunter. He missed last year with a neck injury, didn't play at all in the 2020 season. He comes back this year. He's already been a force for that team. And you look just 3 weeks ago, because they had the bye, he had 3 quarterback hits, a couple sacks against the Detroit Lions. He was a force 2 weeks ago against the Carolina Panthers the last time they took the field. And again, I talked about that third down defense. Listen, teams are going to be getting into third and manageable, third and short. The offenses these days are too good. You have to be money on the money down, and that is what the Minnesota Vikings have been. You look at their defense, not a great run defense, okay pass defense. You want them to take the football away, but when it counts, when they have to get off the field, they are doing so at a higher clip than any other defense in the entire NFL, and that, I believe, is going to pay dividends tonight against a quarterback that I believe is going to struggle not just on third down, but first and second as well.
If you look at it, they're averaging about 24 points a game. They're averaging giving up about 23 points a game, right? Their plus minus is 10 points for the year in 6 games. So as you said, they played close, exciting games. Maybe that's what we will get on Sunday Night Football. But